You are completely, outrageously, extremely, ridiculously blind whenever you lose sight of someone, whoever's humanity. I'll give you an example. When you call someone a criminal, you see someone on TV and as a criminal, you call it. And all you can see is that label, a labeled personality. You've lost total sight of that person's humanity when you see that person for that label only. Or when you walk down the street, you see a passerby that litters. And then you immediately loathe them. Because in your mind, no matter you're aware of it or not, most of the time you're not aware of it, you put a label on them, and all you can see is that label. You've lost total sight of that person's humanity. Well, this just dawned on me when I was just watching a video. I am just watching a movie. And then this is a character in a movie that's basically goes to a bar every night to use his tricks and techniques to get laid. And he succeeds every single time. And I've just labeled him from the beginning. I said this person is shallow, is empty. Is just say, if I have a word like a playboy, I just, in my mind, I've pictured this person as if it's made of plastic. And then in my mind, I just imagine all the men out there that are like this person. And I've just put a label on every one of them. If the movie just stopped like that and ended like that, this would just be beyond for the rest of, not for the rest of my life, but beyond after the movie. I would just hold this idea, perspective of seeing man. I was gonna say guys or whatever. I'm not used to using gendered words, but and then fortunately the movie just moved on and showed the vulnerable side of this person that later fell in love with the girl in a very vulnerable way, which revealed the humanity under that label that I put on him. And I just suddenly feel, wow. Very, very profoundly. How blind I have been. Like when you argue with someone on the internet for something they've said, you immediately, you wrap them up in the things they said, and then you put a label on that, your judgments. And you've sealed that person And you don't get to see through that. All what they truly are is what you've denied or you've ignored or you've just unable. It's not that you actively denied or rejected to see, but you now are unable to see because you're blind. Because all you allow yourself to see is that label. Oh, Jesus. And deep inside, humanity is something that we all share. And your humanity isn't different from mine. And what it is something vulnerable. It's core. It's soul level. It's what we are and what we share. It's a heart that breaks when hurt. It's a body that shivers in pain. And it's eyes that cry if you laugh too hard. It's sadness hidden within. Oh my God. And we should never, 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 ever allow us to ever lose sight of that. Oh Jesus, but we do that so often. In fact, before this very second, I had done this over and over and over and over again in my life. That's all I do, like all my life I've done that. Well, I guess I'm just really lucky to have found out about it. Right now, I think it's a very, very what's the word? Graceful. Thing to have truly discovered for yourself. Oh my God. You know, Shakespeare had said something like this. Like similar to what I said. He said, when you hurt me, don't I feel the pain? If you cut my skin, don't I bleed? If you make me sad, don't I cry? Something like this. Why would you ever treat me for less than what you think you are? Not exactly the words, but basically something like this. We are all the same inside, you know? It's just like when you look at all the animals, they're just basically the same thing that's in different shapes. But you would prefer some that over others, but we're really the same. Is there really a difference between a cat and a dog? Inside, they're just this little innocent being that tries to reach for their well-being and their curiosity, for their survival, for their existence. Innocently, they just do what they know to do. It is the same for every single animal, but we would just look down upon some and hold some close to our heart. Like we would hug a cat, but we would step on a mosquito. But is the mosquito really less innocent than a newborn puppy? And that's what we think. We blame the mosquitoes, but really. And imagine this soulless being that is a mosquito could suddenly turn into a dog's body. And you would love the dog, but when it's in a mosquito's body, you spit on it. It's not that I'm not saying we shouldn't kill mosquitoes. When it's necessary, we should kill them, but we should never like treat them as if like ignore that what they really are, and just believing that they are monsters or they are just evil. It's like when there's too many a type of insect in our environment, and it's somehow damaging the balance of our environment, we need to kill them. But we should never look at them as if they were just really objects or things that shouldn't exist, less worthy than dogs and cats. Because really, are they really different? And it's the same for people. We all share the same humanity inside of us. All the same. But we're just covered in different bodies and shells and life experiences, personalities that developed from these life experiences. We all have the same core, unchangeable. It's just some people might have just developed a thicker defense mechanism that just guard or wrap around this core in them more than others. That just lures us to ignore that core, to not see it more often, more easily. But when they get hurt, don't they feel the pain? When you make them sad, don't they cry? And you know what? I would just think about them. Anyone, a criminal, a murderer, whatever. Think about the moment when they were just born, a newly born baby that still experiences oneness with everything. It always makes me cry. I think if there's a top goal of spirituality or personal growth, if there's a top point, that would be the point where a person can unwaveringly see the innocence of anyone. Because we are really all innocent. No matter what we can do, it's not who we are, what we are. And when we do something that's against what we are, which is perfect innocence. Oh no, I shouldn't have said that. When we do something that's against love, which is really what all that anyone wants, we would hurt so much. Even if it doesn't appear to be so for an outsider. For like when you watch a murderer, you wouldn't think that they would hurt. Because you convince yourself that if they would hurt at all, they wouldn't have done it. Would you think they're really genuinely happy being a criminal? You think maybe they would laugh, maybe they would make you feel like they're really evil. And then they just enjoy being that. And you would just take that for the truth. That is just blindness. If we could just talk to one another, if we could just talk to anyone, when we have to talk to someone, we could just talk to them as if they were the love of our life. And just give them full attention in a way that would not diminish any of their presence in front of us. And giving them a full attention, never treat them as if they were just a tool, a functional NPC. I mean, non-player character in a game, in a video game, is called NPC. But that's what we do, all of the meat included, all the time. We do that all the time. Well, don't blame yourself again. The last thing you should do is to blame yourself. Because you are also doing the best that you can, like everyone else. If you have to blame someone, it's better that you blame others than you blame yourself, really. But don't blame anyone, because everyone's trying their best. This morning I was thinking, the ones that we demand compassion from the most are those that need compassion the most. Like when you see a murderer, you ask them to have some heart, but they actually need your heart more than anyone else in the world. Before you blame someone for not having a heart, you have to be reminded that that person specifically needs your heart more than anyone else. Oh, I'm grateful to that movie. It's just an ordinary movie. It's not something really profound or something. It's just like a comedy movie, romantic. I don't even know if it's so romantic. I think it's just comedy. I'm glad that I can share this on a video thanks to the internet today. Everyone can share something. And the internet just connects us all, you know? I'm really the thing that I'm grateful for the most is the internet, because I'm someone that's just, cause I'm so lonely, and without the internet, I would have been dead. I would have died. I don't know. The internet really connects us. No matter what you say, you look at the negative side always. But the positive side, I think, is bigger. Everything has, not everything, but most things have two sides, right? Especially man-made things, technology. But internet, I think, it has a much stronger positive side than negative side. But as long as we're in these human suits, in these human bodies, looking at the world through this filter of this conditioned brain that looks for the negativity, we would just see more negativity. We would just focus on that. That's what our brain's wired for from caveman stage. Looking for the danger, looking for the bad news, because you need to prepare for it. Good news, nothing to prepare for. The bad news, yes. So we look for it, for survival. Which we don't need to anymore. It's just a habit that you need to be aware of. But I guess it's cliche, has been said. But it's cliche, and well, it's better that we really pay attention when we do that, Never lose sight of anyone's humanity. Never. Oh God, because it's transformative, not to yourself, but to that person as well. Especially when you feel the need to change someone. You can either try to do that from a disconnected place where you're not seeing them. You only see what you want them to be, and it's not helping them. You think you want to like change them so that you can help them. They could be helped. But from that place, it's not really working, they can feel it intuitively. When you really look at them in the eyes of their soul, and see them for who they really are, the same being that you are, that longs for love, the heart that beats for love every single moment. From that place, that's the only place where you can really want good for someone, not any other place. People argue, I did that for you. This is for your good. I mean, it's true that you want the good for like a family member. You would say that, and when you argue, and then from a place where you are not seeing each other, you're not felt. None of you's felt seeing. That's where the conversation, the arguments just go futile. Because everyone just needs to be seen. Their humanity. Vulnerability. The core of their being that we all share. It's permanently there in everyone, no matter what they appear to be. You can never get fooled by their appearance. I'm not talking about physical appearance, but the things they do, the things they could say. You don't want to be fooled by that and think this is what they are. No, never. If anyone says anything that's less than love, they're not saying the exact things that they truly want to say. And you would be such a fool to buy into believing that is what they are. Labeling, the label you put on them based on what they've said and done. And this is very, very liberating news again. Liberating. Not just liberating this time, it's very connecting. I guess it's very, very true to the core. Oh my God, we're just like mirrors towards each other. things are just mirrored between us, reflected between us from this one to another, reflected, projected, here and there. But the true person sitting behind the mirror is just the same one. And when we can really stand up from the mirror and look at each other into the eyes, we recognize each other immediately. This is more of a lesson for me. I don't know if my message is successfully conveyed, because maybe some things just really need to be figured out by the person. This video might only work like as a inspiration. If it could just fully reveal the message, well, that'd be great. That'd be great. I'm just really grateful for having profoundly experienced this realization. I guess this is something that we all could have understood intellectually, like anybody that had read Shakespeare, those lines he said, whatever. Like, I've read them. I learned about them from a movie a long time ago, almost like maybe even a decade ago. I've seen it, that movie where that line of Shakespeare's was said. But yeah, I was moved and touched. I understood it fully, but it's not like a full body realization, It's so profound, like what I experienced today just from watching that movie. It really hit me. You should never treat someone as if they were not vulnerable, because they are no less vulnerable than you. In fact, the more you think a person is not vulnerable, the more vulnerable they are, because I think the less often they get to be vulnerable with others. That's why they appear to be so thick-skinned. Never lose the sight of someone's humanity. I want to remember this forever. Ever, ever, ever. I want to never forget this, especially when I have to interact with someone, no matter on the internet or in real life. I'm really, really grateful. I hope you got it too. I think it's life-changing. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Follow your heart.